Welcome to the Wise Women Podcast and our debut season, Wisdom's Discovery, Finding Your Center at the Edge. Because some moments in life call us to our edge and then beckon us to expand beyond it. In this season, we dive into the shared experiences of 20 remarkable women. And through honest conversation, we explore together the moments that shape us, stretch us, undo us, and ultimately return us to ourselves. I'm Katherine Jelinek, and this is the Wise Women Podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to Becky Fromkes, certified EOS implementer and boy mom of 3. Heck yeah, Becky. So Becky, drop us right in. Where does your story begin?
Yeah, fifth grade. In the fifth grade, I moved to where I live now. I was young, and the fifth grade, moving as a child into a new environment where I was going to school, everybody kind of just had already gelled, right? And I met a friend who I became very close with very quick, and she was a dancer. And I was like, that's cool. I want to be a dancer. So I kind of linked up with her and started doing this dance thing, and that felt good to me. I don't think I was there because I was like amazing, right? It was just like, you go and do this thing. It was great. I loved it. And what that really translated to and where my story begins is the way I would say it is the being in frontness. My dance coach that I was with for a very long time quickly figured out that I needed to be in front. And again, not because I was good, or at least I didn't think I was, right? But being in front was really about me showing up and being a better dancer because I was not influenced by everything else going on around me. I would miss I would miss steps. I would get, confused or turned around if other people were in front of me. So I didn't think anything about that much at that time. I just thought, she knows that I get distracted. End of story. There's nothing else here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really been a key theme through my whole life that I very likely need to continue to go back to and remember like why that happened. So that's where my story began.
And the key theme is you keep getting invited into the front even when you're hesitant to be there.
Yeah, because there's a big part of me still to this day that would say I don't own or deserve that front spot. I don't need that. It's not something that like I desire. I think it's more so that's where I show up in my best self. So yeah. And there's lots of, I'm a front of the class kid, right? When people are like, you're one of those kids that sits in the front of the classroom. I'm like, yeah, I mean, every single college course, whether there was 400 people in the room or 20, I'm in the front, right? So there was a reason for that.
Well, with those, you have to choose to go up front, or like you can choose to sit in the back. So why did you ever choose to sit there? Why are you a front of the class kid?
Because I knew that if I sat in the back of a 400 classroom or a 20 classroom, my mind and my curiosity and my focus would all be on what was going on in front of me. And if it wasn't the instructor, that's where my energy was going to go, was to everybody else. Oh, what's that guy doing? Why is she doing that? I'm really interested.
Hmm.
I think, this kind of just sounds like a simple oh, you're just a distracted person. And I think what it really is I'm a really curious person. So if the thing that I need to be focused on is not right here in front of me, I'm going to be sorted in all sorts of places because I have questions and curiosities and I can't really like be where I need to be in that moment, if that makes sense.
Right. And we were talking a bit, of course, before we hit record. And part of this is also because you are an empath and you seem to absorb your environment. You can feel other people's feelings. You can sense what's going on. There's the curiosity, but then probably also a deeper awareness than most. You're tapping into more information than most usually are.
Yes. And you know this, like, because we talked, we're both moms of boys and live in very loud and chaotic environments.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And I have this like amazing ability and skill to hear every note of the orchestra, right? Like of my life. Not it's not just the singing, it's not just the drums in the back. It's like I hear every layer, which can be that can be a lot. It can be amazing too, but that's how I show up in rooms as well. You know, I can hear the conversation I'm having with you, but I can hear something going on in the background, or I can feel a person looking at us and I'm like there's some interesting energy coming from over here. You know what I mean? So if I'm not
Hmm.
careful about that, I am just being, and I'm going to use a word that you used, this porous sort of human taking things all in. And then essentially I'm not showing up as me,
Hmm.
right?
But if you're somebody who can hear all the elements of the orchestra, do you know what you are? You're the conductor, so you have to
Yeah.
be in front.
Right. And I think that, yeah, right. Yeah. So you're right. That's, oh, yeah. Okay. Just unlock. You're so good.
But that's it. The conductor, if we're even thinking about that, is actually facing the room and able to absorb, but then lead it, guide it, shape the
Yes.
energy. And
Yes.
I'm sure that I mean, it's probably in a way both the gift and the wound, you know?
Yeah. You know, where else this has come up for me many times, very just like in a tangible way. And I've gotten very comfortable telling people this. So whether it's like a group of friends or, you know, girlfriends, we go on trips, or a group of people that I might be collaborating with, I have what I have come very keenly aware of exactly two speeds. I am either conducting that orchestra or I'm sitting in the back beating on the drums like animal having a good time. And I have no idea what else is going on. Right.
Oh,
Like, this has happened to me many times. One of my favorite things to do when I'm in a new city, walk around, look at things, go get coffee, explore. And if I am not with the right human, I tend to get lost. And when I say not with the right human, what I mean is if one of us has not agreed to taking the directional path of where we're going, what time we need to be back, follow directions, and we're just having a good time, that's a situation where we're going to get lost, right? So this is like actually happened to me many times. So it's either that for me, or I am absolutely conducting and saying, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. And I seriously struggle with the in between. Like I either have to be fully on or I have to be fully off.
you're always absorbing. And so if you're not the one guiding and using that information, then you're absorbing to your own full
Yeah.
saturation and need to just be allowed to, somebody else has to guide.
Somebody else has to guide because I have way too much fun with it, right? I'm like it's exactly why I do it, is because I love it. Like I love being able to just like playfully and in a curious way kind of take in my whole world, especially when it's something new, right? I'm like, "Oh my god, there's so much to look at, so much to experience." So, yeah, so there's just a time and a place for both, and I know how I show up if I'm in the front versus if I'm in the back.
Wow. Okay. So there was a word you pulled in when we were not recording. You talked about the imposter element. Can you weave that into this whole thing, and what part does that play for you?
Yeah. So, what I had been sharing was just some reflection and discoveries recently, because I'm on the never stop learning path about myself, and I was prompted to answer the question about three biggest failures. And I truly believe one of my biggest failures in life is that I in fact don't at all suffer imposter syndrome, and what I have is imposter disease. I just never feel like I am owed the situation of being in front. Nobody needs to hear from me. I don't have anything original to say.
Mm,
Everything in the world has already been said. There's no new content or no new ideas. It's all been quoted. It's all been written.
mhm.
That's a real struggle, right? Because I still get butterflies in my stomach every time I stand in front of the room as an implementer. I'm
Wow.
like, oh, they want me in this room today, right? Why? Why? You know? And then I get over it. But anytime I speak, same thing. You know, it's hard. It's hard. I want to receive open arm, like feedback when people give it to me. But as I was sharing with you when we first started talking, I was like, I don't deserve that. They're out of their minds, right? So being in the front, it's just this concept puts you in those situations all the time where I'm like, well, I mean, they must see something I don't see, but I'm here for it.
Mhm. Is there any, and I mean, like, I'm not trying to overanalyze or dig into places you may not want to reveal any. Feel free to cut me off. But is there any more of an origin to the imposter side? To this, that
Yeah.
might have been there beyond just showing up at dance. There's like, for most of us, if we're going to carry the belief of like, I don't really deserve to be here, it's something sometimes absorbed from someone else who also has that, or there's some convoluted
Yeah.
message. And I'm just curious if you are aware of where that might have showed up
Yeah.
first.
So I think just my life, I never feel like, I've never felt like there's anything too spectacularly significant about me saying, Catherine, I have to tell you this one giant thing that happened and it was this turning point, right?
Uh-huh.
I've not had that. But when I've thought about the question that you just asked, I'm going to pull on the thread of being a chameleon. My parents got divorced when I was 2.
Okay.
And from that point forward, we were moving. We were doing this. My mom got remarried. My dad got remarried. Oh, they both got divorced. Oh, we live in another house. We live in another city. My brother's 7 years older than me. So we kind of joke sometimes like we're siblings, but we live very different lives.
Oh, yeah.
Then we moved here to where I live now, and we did that at a young age. So it was just like a lot of shape shifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, But when you're young, you don't know any different. I'm like, this is the only life I've ever known. So I dare not say I live this really unstable situation. My parents are amazing and they're very involved and interwoven in my entire life now. But like nothing that about my life growing up, family wise, felt like it looked like anybody else's, right? Felt very different. Not so long ago, my brother said to me, "You're just so good at making new friends. Like you've just really
Huh.
absorbed that has ever happened in our lives. Like it's just been fine for you." And I'm like, "What else are you supposed to? I don't know any other way." Right. So
Mm.
I have to think that's it. It wasn't one thing, it was just how I existed as a young adult or a young adolescent into my life. There was a lot of change. And there honestly, there continues still to be this. Like my mother just got remarried like a year or 2,
Congrats, Mom.
right? I'm like, "Okay, we got this. Love it.
It
Come on in."
continues on.
Continues. I think not I mean, but here's the thing, I think nothing of it. I'm like, "This has been my life." Like, and it's beautiful, right?
Uh-huh.
To answer your question, I think that has been it. I've just been in situations where I've had to sort of be flexible. And where does that come in with imposter syndrome? It's probably a lifelong question of like, who the heck am I? What do I have to offer for the world? Right?
Yeah. Your container was never really fully defined. It was always porous, and you were always a shapeshifter out of like the need to be, and then now it's the skill to be.
The need to be and then the skill to be. Yeah. And then you add in the ingredients of massive curiosity, which I held that back for a long time. For the first part of my professional career, I didn't ask questions for fear of looking stupid. I didn't want to expose that I didn't know what people were talking about, or I didn't understand it at the level that they seemed to be getting it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I like held that back for a long time. Yet again,
Mhm.
feeling like an imposter, sitting in a room having conversations where I'm like, I feel like I'm the only one that doesn't know what's going on right now. I have more questions, but I don't want to ask. Yeah.
But you're also sensing the emotional temperature of the room and not feeling safe to do so. Yeah.
Not feeling safe to do so, but also having this hunch that I'm like, I don't think I'm the only one that feels this way.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know what I mean? You've been in those
Mhm.
rooms, right?
Yes, indeed. Of course. Yes. I've held back from asking questions for a long time too. I get it. I do. Realize that what you're talking about, so many people can relate to, and it's not necessarily your exact, even though I'm sure a lot of women, probably listeners, but I'm guessing women can relate to what you're talking about specifically. But also can relate to backing up 2 steps. The idea of having something that was almost like a learned survival skill in some ways still feels like a wound, but is also a superpower.
Totally.
And it's like the same thing, and you're holding that energy always. Like the wound is the gift. And it's not it's not a simple way to exist.
No.
It's definitely a nuanced.
Yeah, it is. And to that point, I would also say the gift that sometimes feels like the curse is that I have no regrets and I'm not trying to make up for lost time, but I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, now I know better. Now what do I do with this? And now I just have this, what feels like this endless like depth of like learning from it all the time, right? Learning from it all the time and how to just 1% better every day of whatever that looks like.
And what do you mean you know better and you're learning from it? What is it and what do you know better?
So just it could be in very big situations, it could be in very small situations. A lot of this conversation is stemming from like where is our edge and coming back and edge and coming back and edge and coming back. The coming back to what works for me is I feel like solidified. It's the back and forth and saying, you've been here before. Why aren't you just being comfortable knowing, like, if we're using the theme of being in the front, just lean into that. That's what's working. You have evidence for that. Keep going, right? Why are you questioning yourself? And then, couple that with the quote unquote imposter disease that I've named for myself, learning from that, like accepting the feedback I get. Like when you asked me before we started this conversation earlier, what do you receive from a room that you've stood in front of? And I'm like, really great stuff, really great stuff. I just need to be okay with that. So that's what.
But it doesn't make it all the way in, does it?
No, it doesn't make it all the way in. So that's something I still need to learn how to do, is let it make itself all the way in.
Yeah. I think that, okay, so just kind of going to relate to you for a moment. Is that, because I believe that a lot of us have this experience in different ways, of having a hard time understanding who we even are, defining what's me and what's them. And if all of this is them, then what is even me by itself?
Yeah. And I'll be honest, like I recently had, the question was asked recently. This is from a book that I'm listening to, I'm consuming right now.
And what book is it? Just so we can know.
Shine.
Cool.
What is left when you peel it all off, right? The family, the job, the identity, the friends, the community, everything, all of the layers when you peel it all back. And Catherine, I don't know. That's a hard question for me to answer. I think intuitively I know some things, but if I'm being asked, take it all away, then what's left? It's me. What is me? Ooh, I don't know. Like, I think that's part of the beauty of this kind of work, this life work. And maybe I'm outwardly processing right now.
That's okay.
Yeah, maybe that is it when I think about the being in frontness, right? Maybe that's the part I struggle with, is like, okay, so what does everybody else see? If they're seeing me, what do they see?
But then my question is, so when you're in front, when you're doing an EOS session or dancing or being the mother who can feel all the things, and I mean, like when you're the only woman in a house full of men, like there's an in frontness to that role no matter what. Yeah. I mean, mothers are all in front.
Yes, we're always.
But when you're in front, what are you doing? That you're doing.
Yeah, I think what I believe, what I want to believe, but what I believe is there is the version of me that people are experiencing, whether it's being the front of my house, so my household, if you will, is curious, confident, is playful, is just I think all the things I long to be if I could just peel all the rest of it off, right? So I think that's what shows up, right? Is this true warmth that's feedback I've received, that really just, when you're doing your thing, that's what feels good to the people around you. So that's how I want to show up, and I do think that's what does show up for me, is like the true version of my confident, playful, childlike self, right? That's where I really believe what comes through.
And so if you were talking to another woman who in this similar way struggled to be able to see the woman in the mirror, struggled to be able to receive the gift that she's sharing or even be able to claim it, what would you say to her? Like if someone's reading this chapter and is like, this is me.
Yeah. Well, as a true coach, I would say, just love it, Catherine. You got this. I see it. It's true. Just believe it. That's what I would say. Just believe it. Just believe it. Words I need to hear. That's what I would say. Say it's true. Everything in life, right? We're perceiving the whole world around us in a very different way, which means the whole world around us is perceiving us differently than we think of ourselves, right?
And that's never totally our business in the end, right?
Right.
That's them with their stuff, seeing us through their lens.
Yeah. So, and I think that we have an opportunity, and I don't want to say just as women, but but I'll say especially as women, to build that skill. And when I say the skill, I mean the filter of what you let in and what you don't let in, and let the beautiful stuff in, let the gifts in, like receive that gift and don't judge it, which is something I'm very good at doing when I receive nice gifts about, oh, you were great, or that was wonderful.
Hmm.
Just receive it. That's all I would say.
Yep. Yes, I think that there's that for sure. And then I also know too that when things are hard to receive and there's that wound stuck, right? Like still, no matter how many times you hear how great you are in front, you still
Hmm.
don't feel like you belong.
Yeah.
And forgive me, because this is me now talking about my own self
Okay.
on your podcast.
I like it. I like it.
But I have identified in those moments what really is happening is there's some little girl version of me still inside crying,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
I need to, as my own grown up self now, go back to and give a big hug and say, because
Yes.
like, mine is like I've been left alone.
Mm,
Or like this whatever the message is, like I don't deserve to be here. There's some piece of us still abandoned needing to find the hold that only us can offer ourselves, right? Like
yeah, that's right.
because if you still can't hear and receive that beautiful message you keep being told,
Mhm.
there's somebody inside who can't, who's not able to even tune into that yet.
Yes. Okay. So where does humility come in? Where does humility come in? Because that's part of where I
You're
struggle.
worried that you might not be humble if you stand in it, soak it up. Well, you know what? I'm not trying to be like, it doesn't really qualify for you. It's not, I mean, I'm not trying to let you like say like there's types of people, but I have a sense that when you're an empath and you're a person who's porous and can absorb and you're feeling so much of everybody else, like you're not standing there for your own purpose anyways,
Right.
like
Yeah.
humility is always our grace to know that we're not the only thing, but that's not your problem.
Yeah. 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 And I that's probably for me one of the ways when you say, oh, that's something internally that you got to work on, or not, you're not saying that to me, but like, oh, that's a trigger, that's a wound or something like that. If I put this into context of that moment where I'm having the butterflies in front of my clients and I'm like, why are we doing this? Why did they pick
Hmm.
me? Why am I here? My, dare I say, weapon for that
Mm.
is just like thanking them. Like I want them
Mm.
today. We haven't even started our session. So I just need you to know I'm really thankful that, like, thank you. Like, thanks for letting me be in this space with you. And sometimes that can help me a little bit, right? Just be like, I recognize that you made a choice here to spend the whole day with me, little old me. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Well, that's humility in action right there. I mean, the
Yeah.
gratitude, that makes it about all of us. The
Yeah.
thanking them, that realizing their participation, that you can't be there without them. And
Yeah.
that's phenomenal. Just to reflect to you, them, I think you're really standing in a really incredible superpower. And it's important to realize your chapter, this episode, is for others who have this too, who have big superpowers that are kind of hard to get your arms around.
Yeah.
And you're a channel almost for the environment around you to find its best place.
Yeah.
And when you're so able to absorb and then receive and focus everything outside of you, of course it's going to be hard
Yeah.
to like define when you're so good at bringing through the energy around. But that in and of itself is,
Yeah.
is so powerful. Again, back to your conductor abilities.
Yeah, yeah. I love I love that visual because it is really powerful to think about the facing of it, right? And I know that's been something that's been talked about a lot, but um some of the danger of it though too is like when do you pull it back, right? And get, because that's where I feel like sometimes I struggle, is because I can take all of that in and on. When do I pull it back, and when do I like tighten up the filter versus when do I let it, be a little bit wider open? So that's
What
something, yeah, that's
I
something
would
I
ask that question back to you because you're highly attuned to this and you've been living your whole life as someone who's absorbing more than everybody else. So what is that for other people who have that? What is
yeah.
the boundary of where I'm using this and this is a gift and then it's whoa, it's just too much and I need
Yeah.
to shut this down.
This is a very active part of what's happening in my life right now, Catherine. So you're really,
Mhm.
really hitting the
All right, let's go.
yeah, I mean, you said boundary. And I think that can look different at any time in your life, right? Like I think depending on where you are situationally, level of energy, where what you have going on. What I would say to anybody listening or reading, aka what I would say to myself, is getting clarity about that and then actually like sticking to it. You know what I mean? So we all know there's power in saying no, power in saying no. The danger is I like to say yes and I like to absorb the energy and I like to ask the questions. I had a recent experience where I was taking on too much of the energy and I could feel in every part of my body, like down to the center of my bones, that I was like, this is not right for me.
Mm.
I was like, how do I get out of it? Because I'm in this container and it's feeling all sorts of wrong. And I have to find a way to gracefully exit, if you will. So clear with myself about what that looks like and how to do that and put that in practice, I think is where the place where I'm at right now. Like I have so much I can be so porous. It's like, how do I maybe put some blocks on those holes, the porous holes, right? And understanding like what that does for me when I do it. And a lot of that for me comes down to the protection of energy too, because I want to protect it for the very right things. But
Yes.
if and when it's all coming in, I have nothing left for the things that are the most important. So very long-winded way of saying, let's be really clear when you have this superpower, like what you're using it for, and be maybe even more clear about when it becomes a dangerous thing for you. Because I've stepped into the danger zone one too many times on that one.
I'm hearing you talk about being discerning and that it's not necessarily about amount, but about quality of the energy that you're around
Yeah.
and sending out that feeler and being able to kind of get yourself out if you're in an environment that's not a match.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then also becoming really in tune. So this was just evidence that I've recently discovered about myself in the last like 6 to 8 months through a couple of experiences. Being really in tune to how to restore, right? So somebody like me with a lot of energy and a lot of also empath taking it on from others, you might think or assume that what I would need then is like a full shutdown for 8 hours or
Mm.
this and that. And I had an experience last fall where I was driving to a retreat, and I had it in my head that like this 4 day retreat, which was way too long to be away from my family. So that was lesson number one. After 90 minutes in the car alone, I was like, oh, I can go home. I could go home right now. I feel revitalized. Just
Like, this is all I needed.
this is all I needed. This is all I needed. And that was like super powerful for me to learn that, right? Was like, oh, I just needed a beat. I didn't need to go to Bali on a lone trip for a month or whatever people do. I don't know that I would actually survive that. I might need more human energy around me than that. So learning, even if it's something like that, learning like what do you do to restore? If this is your superpower, how do you protect it? Which sometimes looks like understanding that boundary, sticking to that boundary, and then actually leaning into restoring it.
Yeah. It's interesting because one might assume that somebody who absorbs so much needs like a big space without, but it's cool to hear that that doesn't have like that's an assumption. Doesn't have to be the case. And you can trust like your natural recharge. Like, oh, 90 minutes in the car. Thanks. Good enough. Back to the boys.
Yeah, I really was like, and then I'll be honest, I had a little bit of a panic moment. I was like, oh, I have like 3.5 days now, and it was lovely.
Ha.
The retreat was lovely, but I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. And there, in that situation, it could have actually been the drive, yes, but it probably could have been also knowing like I had all this space ahead of me. So like, let's be realistic. But I've tried that on. I've tried on the micro moments of restoration, and I have found it to be extremely powerful, even if in small doses, which, that's good learning for me that I
It
need to be
is
better
good.
at applying. Yeah. But that's not for everybody.
I
I've
think it applies to a lot of parents
a lot of
because we're
parents.
used to operating without a lot. And so those small doses actually give you a bigger upswing than, or at least that's my 2 cents at the moment. But a lot of
Yeah.
us who are already a big bandwidth dealing with much, sometimes that
Yeah.
small dose.
Yeah, for sure. One more thing I would offer on
Hmm.
that would be, and this is something I think I've gotten really good at,
Hmm.
uh, What works for me is not going to work for everybody else. Okay. So the other way to describe that, I'll use one example. I've talked to people, I've had these conversations lots of times, and somebody might say, have you tried journaling? I'm like, that sounds like my personal hell. No, because
I love that response.
journaling is amazing. And I'm like, I'm so happy that works for you. That would never work for me, And that's not a knock on journaling. I actually am like, that's really cool that works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And that's okay. I would never prescribe to somebody how to find their way back to themselves, whatever that looks like. You have to find your own way back to yourself. And then you have to do that over and over again. Me telling you to get in the car and drive an hour and a half, or for me, it's just sometimes just being outside for 15 minutes is what I need. That's not for everyone. Right. So that's a big thing I would encourage people that feel like they have this superpower, is just find exactly what works for you and do that. You're going to get the opinions of everybody else and what works for them, but that's not the thing that's going to work for you.
That's good. And that was close to this final question here, is what, like, if you could summarize the wisdom gained through this,
yeah,
what is that final piece that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would simply say there's a storyline. Everybody has a storyline, how they got to where they are. And something beautiful about humans is that we like to connect on the things that are the sameness, right? So you and I, boy moms, we could talk about.
Yeah, right. Of course. Did that plenty here.
I know, right? And it is easy. You can go there fast, right? I'm a go there fast person. I think my caution would be, connection is beautiful, but it doesn't necessarily write your story. Like take that little piece of what you learned, like you and I have connected over the boy thing, but your house with your 5 and 7-year-old might look very different than mine. So for me to say, I have all this noise, and your house might not look like that, right? So I think my encouragement is be curious, deeply connect, find what works for you. When it comes down to how we started our conversation with, if me being in the front of things causes me discomfort, but I get the great feedback, sure. But what am I learning from that? How am I moving through the world? And really what it comes down to is just continuing to learn how to be the best version of me, which is who is just me. It's what works for me and not everybody else, right? So, that would be my encouragement. Try it on, see what fits. If it doesn't, as quickly as you can discard it and move to the next thing, try that on, see what fits there, and keep going.
I love that you returned it back to like inner authority. It's always, you and you, most important. And that's also so a wow ending to your story in this way, because given that part of what you were sensing is not unable to define yourself, but then in the end, you actually can. You discern and know what is yours without, and guide others to say, you've got the authority to know this is right for you. You don't have to journal.
You don't have to journal. Journaling might not be for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
My one of my friends that I believe will be a part of this book gave me a sticker a couple of months ago, and it just said, "I love that for you." And I said, "Why did you give me this?" And she goes, "That's just how you are. You say that a lot. You say, 'Oh, I love that for you. I love that for you.'" Which it feels a little bit like, I'm not from the South, but it feels a little bit like Southern charm, where you're like, "Oh, God bless you. I love that for you. Not for me. Love that for you."
That's really funny. But you actually mean it in a deeply sincere way. Like
100%. Like I really, really do mean it. Yeah. We live in a world where we're being compared to everyone and everything all the time, right? So if that works for you, that's beautiful, right? So that was actually a very nice gift to receive when she handed me that, because I was like, do I say that a lot? Is that the energy that I put out in the world?
Yes.
So,
yeah. And in a more compelling way than even the sticker can communicate, I think.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
All right. Well, Becky, thank you so much for sharing your story. And in the way that it is ever present, it's that makes it so resonant, actually, to be able to relate to the now with it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Till next time, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Wise Women podcast. You can find the book, Wisdom's Discovery, Finding Your Center at the Edge, on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. and keep listening to the wisdom that your life is offering you.